Iran it says, the peaceful use of nuclear power. Iran has 300 years of natural gas and oil reserves, and they haven't started fracking or hydraulic drilling yet. They may have 1,000 years of reserves. I'm an expert on energy because that's what my law firm does. Iran does not need a nuclear power plant for power. They got plenty of energy to export to the rest of the world. There is no reason in the world for them to have the peaceful use of nuclear power. Maybe France needs it, maybe countries without natural resources need it, but Iran doesn't need it. So why have they been doing this? They've been doing this because they want to become a nuclear power. Not only that, they have written that, they have said that, they have described that. The president reformer who runs Iran, Rouhani, in 03 and 05, continued to enrich uranium while they had a standstill agreement with us. He did it secretly and bragged about it, and we're negotiating with him. This is like playing poker with a guy who cheated you twice before. You know who does that? A moron. An agreement with Iran with regard to nuclear power should be very simple. Iran should not be allowed to have any form of nuclear power. Most of us, maybe not all of us in this room, lived through the Cold War. Those of us in the Reagan administration certainly remember it. General Shelton fought it, the Cold War, because it wasn't always a Cold War. And the big fear during the Cold War was that a madman would come along and be able to get his finger on the button in the US or in Russia, and all of a sudden we could destroy the world. We saw movies about that, we saw Broadway plays about that, we saw comedies about that, and we read books about that. And we were afraid of that. And it never happened, thank God. These people in Iran, the Ayatollah and the mullahs, have already told us they are insane. They have already described to us in words and deeds the actions of insane people. When I was mayor of New York, if someone threatened to destroy New York City, I would go anywhere, any place, anytime, and I wouldn't give a damn what the President of the United States thought, to defend my country. That is a patriot. Unlike our president. 12 red lines to Saudi Arabia. 12 red lines, they all turned pink. And the last one turned yellow. He backed down to Assad 12 times. You don't think that had a connection to what Putin did in Crimea? If you don't understand world history, you don't understand world diplomacy, and you don't understand power politics. Putin looked one time at Obama and he said, I can take advantage of this man because he is weak. So we are here to appeal to you. We know your senators, particularly Senator McCain, understand this as well or better than I do. President of the United States should not be allowed to reach an agreement with Iran without presenting it to the United States Congress. This is not a dictatorship. This is not a country run by one man. This is not a country run by one branch of the government. The Congress of the United States speaks for the people of the United States. This agreement is too important to be imposed on us the way President Obama has ignored the laws in so many other ways and gotten away with it because he has a press who defends him no matter what he does. The second thing we cannot forget, and many of you who have been involved in this for a long time know about this, and many of you don't. We have almost 3,000 people who are in Iraq right now. They are listening to this. I think they're listening to it live, but they certainly will be listening to it on tape very, very quickly. They are being held hostage there. They're being held hostage in a camp called Liberty. Over 100 of them have been killed in that camp. It is a concentration camp. Now, you say, well, my goodness, this is going on all over the world, and there are many situations like the one I've just described, of people who are being tortured and people who are being treated horribly. But there's something different about these 3,000 people. Each one of them has a piece of paper signed by a member of the American military at a high level, giving them the protection of the Geneva Convention and the United States. They did that in 2003 when they laid down their arms to protect themselves so that they would be protected by the United States military. To me, and I know to your senator, because he and I have talked about this, Senator McCain, this is a solemn pledge. Not of one general or colonel, not of one president or the other, but of the United States of America. Each one of these people is in possession of such a piece of paper, and we have dishonored it. We've left him there. If this was an administration and a president who truly understood what it meant to be an honorable man and an honorable president, that piece of paper would be vindicated. That piece of paper would be honored. Instead, it is being ignored because he is so stupidly trying to reach an agreement with Iran. He wants nothing to stand in the way of it. So far, 100 people at least have been killed because of that stupidity. All the President of the United States has to do is send 5 or 6, or the general could probably figure it out better, 7 airplanes to Baghdad with appropriate troops, say, get the hell out of the way, and take all those people, put them on a plane, and bring them to, this is not a big thing to do. And we're leaving them there to get killed and to be sitting ducks. And it's because the president is so desperate to make an agreement that finally is against our interests in any way. And if we are not going to live up to our word of protecting them by taking them out of there because we granted them asylum status, if we're not going to do that, then let's give them the arms to defend themselves. Because they were pretty darn good at it before. And I'm sure they'd be very good at it again. The MEK, the organization we're talking about, answers a question I am asked all the time. Where are the moderate Muslims? Where are the Muslims who stand up against terrorism? Where are the Muslims who are outraged by the fact that there are some Muslims, some, Not a majority, not an overwhelming majority, but a fairly large number, supported by a state Iran. Where are those Muslims who condemn that? Well, I'm going to tell you where they are. They're right here. That's the MEK. Organization, the interim president of that organization is a woman. You saw those pictures of those gatherings, I believe it was in Paris. 100,000 people showed up in Paris. This is not a small organization. General Shelton and I have been before hundreds of thousands of displaced Iranians who are ready to take their country back. And here's their platform. Here's their charter. Here's their constitution. It's going to sound awfully familiar. They believe in free elections. They don't want to control Iran. They want the Iranian people to have an election in which the leader of Iran is freely elected. They want an Iran that is dedicated to religious freedom, safety for Jews and Christians, safety for Muslims who may not want to practice their faith, or Muslims who may want to practice their faith in a different way than other Muslims. They want an Iran that gives women equal rights with men. They want an Iran that's built on the rule of law, and they want an Iran that is a non-nuclear Iran. That's the alternative. That's the alternative to the Islamic fundamentalist extremists. President Obama should embrace them. President Obama should save them. He should embrace them. And he should put them up as a model of what is needed in the Islamic world. And instead, what he's doing, in my humble view, is selling us out to Iran. It must be stopped. It has to be stopped. Our last resort is our Congress. But you know something? Our Congress is always our last resort, because it is our Congress that represents our people. And I implore our Congress to stop this weak president for doing things that will be so difficult to reverse that even if the next president were a Ronald Reagan, it might be difficult to reverse. After all, we are never going to bring Kayla Mueller back to life. And we are never going to bring those people there back to life. And I am never going to have my 10 close friends that I lost on September 11, who were killed by Islamic extremist terrorists. I'm never going to have them ever again. We can't bring them back, but we can make sure there aren't more of them. This president isn't doing it. This president is moving us in a much worse and really frightening direction. And Congress must stop it, and the people must stand up and say, no, 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 we will not sell out to Iran the way Chamberlain sold out to Hitler. No!